All right, we here, people. We are here with my dude, Rakhem Seku in the building. What's going on, man? How's everything going, man?
Happening. Everything's good, bro.
What's up? What's up? Yeah, man. So shout out to you, man. Thanks for coming on because, I wanted to do this for a long time, man. Finally, we got to make this happen. You feel what I'm saying? But shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Y'all about to get some heavy ass game up in here today. So tell everybody who you are, what you do, all that good stuff, and then we'll get into that. You know what I'm saying?
All right, cool. Yeah, name is Rakhem Seku, aka Carl Stevens. I've operated a relationship and metaphysical school for the past 20 years. So teaching relationships, teaching about spirituality, personal empowerment. I've had a men's group called Kingdom Cypher for the past 15, 20 years. And, done some TV stuff, been on a bunch of TV, Dr. Phil, Ricky Lake. Had our own show that just came out this year called Seeking Brother Husband on TLC. So we've been doing that. So just like out in the media, teaching about this stuff for a long time. I actually met you, Lakar, I think it was back in 2009 or 2010.
Right.
In NYC, we were doing an event together apart. And yeah, since then, just kind of kept in contact with you like from afar and just checked out your work. So I appreciate the work you're doing out in the community, bro. That's really good stuff.
That's what's up, man. Appreciate it, man. And yeah, and definitely, it's funny. So I titled this show today. I titled it The Polyamorous Alpha. And I actually got that title from the late, great Alan Roger Curry, because he did a show, I think it was last year, where he mentioned you, and he was talking about polyamorous relationships, and he considered you the polyamorous alpha. And so, yeah, so that's what. Yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting. You know what I mean? But I know that you wrote a book. So guys, I'm gonna show you the book that he wrote. This one's called The Art of Open Relating. Volume 1, and in the book you were talking about how there's a difference between, or a slight difference between, polyamorous and open relating. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm big on culture, right? So you can have a system, but it depends really on how the culture practices it, right? So polyamory is basically you can date who you want, you can be in a marriage, you can be in multiple relationships, whatever it is. And whatever feels good to you is cool. But in our culture, polyamory is really more about you being in committed relationships, right?
Right.
And within polyamory, there's also usually some kind of structure, right? And every couple does it differently. So it's like maybe they have a hierarchy thing or veto power where one partner can say, no, I don't want you to date her or date him or whatever. Sometimes they have limits on how many nights you can be away from the house and stuff like that. So polyamory in this culture usually has rules. And you can even be judged by the polyamorous community here for not doing poly right. Cheat and all that kind of stuff in polyamory. Open relating is look, I'm gonna do me, you do you. And that's all there is to it. You see what I'm saying? And my relationships might look different from partner to partner. Right. I have 2 wives, right? But each of my situations, my wives is different. My wife is we kind of do our own thing. My wife believes in hierarchy. You see what I'm saying? I don't believe in hierarchy. You see what I'm saying? So she puts me above, other men in her life automatically out the gate. You see what I'm saying? Where with me, it's more circular, we're just all getting where we fit in and we make it work, to the best of our ability. And so it's just different. You see what I'm saying? So with open relating, it's look, each relationship is going to be different. You see what I'm saying? And how we function and how we identify in terms of what we are subscribing to with a particular partnership is going to be different. So it's just do you and I'll do me. And I'll support you in whatever you're doing. When my wives do their thing or my partners do their thing, whatever y'all choose to do, I'm cool with that. That's who you are. And then what I choose to do, you got to be cool with that because that's who I am. And for me, that's what open relating is. I call it freedom-based relating in the book, where you're just free to be you and kind of create your own structures for how you relate.
Dope. And so you said, you have 2 wives. So where did you meet your first wife and how did y'all get into the conversation of having this type of relationship, or was it that way the whole time? Like, how did that happen? And then when did you meet your second wife?
No, my first wife and I were monogamous out the gate. So I met her on a blind date when I was at Howard University in Washington, D.C. And, you know, we were monogamous, but we were part of a spiritual community and they were polygynous in that community. Polygyny is where one husband can have multiple wives.
Right.
But wives can't have other partners.
Mm-hmm.
We were married by a polygynous family. We were around it our entire marriage. So, you know, that's like something I actually wanted early on. So we met on a blind date. We were monogamous for the first 10 to 12 years of our marriage. And then, you know, I decided that, hey, I want to add a wife to the family. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, I introduced her to my wife, Kenya. You know, she asked questions. We all talked about it. Then me and Kenya talked about it. And she was like, well, I think I should be able to see other partners too. And at first I was like, what the fuck are you even talking about? Like, so I had never heard of like a wife dating other. See, because remember when we became poly and open, like nobody was doing this. Nobody was talking about it. There were no couples or groups, no Facebook groups, like nothing. You see what I'm saying? So when she said that, I'm like, what are you even talking about? You see, like, I didn't understand that concept. I've never seen it before, never heard of it. So I just said, no, let's just stay monogamous. Like if you thinking that way, let's just shut the whole thing down. But over the course of time, as I learned about women, basically learned about game, you know what I'm saying? I realized, like, look, you can't cage a woman. You can't cage a feminine and actually get the benefits of that feminine energy. You see what I'm saying? Like a lot of brothers in marriages right now, but their wife is faking how she really feels, and she feels suppressed. You see what I'm saying? So after my wife and I talked about it for a few years, I said, you know what? If I, you know, can date other people, I think you should be able to do the same thing too. And that's kind of how we got into it. So about year 12 or so, we actually got into the open relating thing. We've been doing it ever since.
Wow, that's dope. And what are your thoughts on, because I know a lot of times when you talk about this topic, a lot of guys will say, you know, I want to be in an open situation, but, you know, I just want it on my side where I'm seeing other women, but my wife or my girl has to like stay at home and she can't see nobody and she can't do nothing. So what are your thoughts on it? Do you think that is something that is realistic for a lot of guys to have, or what do you think that comes from, where guys feel like they want to do it, but they like forbid, or they just don't like their woman to see other dudes? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it comes from a few places. One, it comes from our culture, like the culture of monogamy, plus the culture of capitalism and religion has convinced the men that like they're the superior species on the planet. And men desire sex and women don't really desire it like that. So like have this belief that, oh yeah, we're supposed to have multiple partners. You know, that's the natural order of things. And so that's how it should be. So that's number one. Number two is, the bottom line is most men can't handle it emotionally. A lot of us as men, we have a lot of, you know, kind of like mother issues. So when somebody, you know, it's like, you know, when you're young and like, you know, you're a young boy and your mom gives your friend a piece of candy too or something, you get jealous. Or, you see what I'm saying? Like, we still have that stuff in our system. And so we can't even fathom our woman, you know, not being completely and totally loyal to us without question. That we can't handle the emotions around it because we're just not there from a maturity standpoint. So that's the big reason why. Like, we can't actually handle it as men. It's not that I don't prefer that. No, like if that were to happen, you would just lose your shit. You see what I'm saying? That's the big thing. And no, it's not realistic, because women are like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to get it in too, quiet as kept. You know what I'm saying? You know, human beings in general, the most promiscuous species on the planet, is how we bond and how we maintain a level of community is by, you know, having intimate connections, having, you know, like really close relationships with other people. So we're naturally wired to be that way. And both men and women desire that.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, and you know, it's funny because like, so what I hear on the internet, and this is, I don't know if you've seen this, is a lot of guys, they'll say stuff like, they'll use words like, oh, well, you know, you're a cuck or something like that. If you're in a situation where you have a relationship where the woman you're with will be sexual with another dude, and you're with other people, but they'll with other women, but they'll say, well, there's something wrong with you, or you're a cuck and you're getting played, or stuff like that. Like, what's your thoughts on that type of stuff right there?
Well, first, the definition of cuck isn't like, your woman having other partners. The definition of cuck is like a man who enjoys watching his woman get fucked by, you see what I'm saying? Like, and like gets off on that and that kind of thing. Like, that's what a cuck actually is. But no, that's a defense mechanism. Like, guys will throw that stuff up so that they don't have to really deal with the reality around, your woman wants to be with other men, period, point blank. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can say what you want, and you can paint it any way you want, but the bottom line is, all of us desire those other connections. Now, maybe not the entirety of the marriage, right? Like, you all just got married. Maybe your woman's not trying to get into that for the first 2 years or 5 years or whatever, 10 years, whatever. You see what I'm saying? But no, it's, that's not the reality of it. You know what I'm saying? It's not a cuck thing. It's just a reality thing. Like, those same men would rather, their woman cheat on the down low.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what's going to end up happening. Either she's just going to dream about other men or really dream about the other dudes that she wants to be with, or she's going to go take care of her needs on the down low. And let me tell the brother something. There's nothing that you can do to stop that.
Right. That's a fact.
Yeah, it's just how it is, man. So, and I'm speaking from somebody who understands the game, you know what I'm saying, who's been out there, like, I've been with married women, I've been with women in relationships and that kind of thing. Like, brothers don't even know the half. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you think that your woman is all about you all the time, entirety of your relationship, and she's got no desires outside of you, and that you're going to somehow disturb the balance of that by you going out and getting your needs met and just kind of keeping her suppressed at the crib, it's not going to work. It's not how the game works. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, brothers, I think, are delusional, and they just need to take a step back and look at the realities of who we are as human beings.
Real talk. Shout out to my dude King Zach. He said both men and women desire variety. This notion that you can get into a relationship with a woman and she'll never be sexually attracted to another man is a fallacy. Exactly. That's a fact. And shout out to my lady April MC in the building too. Shout out to April. Shout out to my girl looking all sexy as usual. So now how do you handle, let's say, for example, jealousy when this comes up? Because I know sometimes what'll happen is like, let's say, your wife or your both your wives might get jealous. Let's say if you're talking to another woman, or vice versa. Do you get jealous if you see your wife or talking to another guy or wanting to get with another guy? Like, and if that does occur, how do you handle it?
Well, yeah, it's going to occur for most men because, like I said, we have those kind of unresolved emotional issues, attachment issues, and we're defining our masculinity through our woman and whether she's loyal to us and stuff like that. You see what I'm saying? Like, right. And when you're a young man and you really haven't been out there and kind of trained, you judge yourself based on what a woman does and how she treats you and whether she's loyal to you, that kind of thing. So the jealousy is going to come up. When it comes up, you got to say, well, why am I jealous? Why do I care what my wife is doing? You see what I'm saying? And usually the answer to that is, well, I'm insecure about, is this guy going to be bigger than me or better sexually? Is she going to fall in love with him? And then where does that put me? You see what I'm saying? But here's the thing, like, the key to it is understanding that, look, your value as a man, as a human being, has nothing to do with any other human being on the planet, number one, including your wife. Number two, like, you got to get out there and live your life. So like I've dated so many women, have so many girlfriends, especially at the same time. It's like, if I got like 20, 30 women around the country that I'm dealing with, like, why do I care what the hell they, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Exactly.
Like, none of those individual relationships validate me in the least. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, if I live my life, I'm good. You see what I'm saying? And in turn, I want my wife and all my girlfriends like go live your life too. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like that's why I'm into you, because you know you got game the way you got game, and you out there doing your thing. You see what I'm saying? Like that to me is like somebody in their confidence and out there expressing it in the world is like that shit is like sexy and attractive to me.
Now that's the real shit. And you know, I think what happens is sometimes, especially for us men, right? I think what it is like you're saying, we're looking at what a woman is doing and for validation of who we are versus being who we are, regardless of what's happening outside of ourselves. And then also at the same time, enjoying yourself with the situations you have. You know what I mean? And I think that's a good point. Now, do you? So I know that you and your wife have kids. And do they learn about like the polyamorous lifestyle? Are they into that? Or are they just like, hey, I'm gonna just be in a monogamous situation? Like, what's that? How's that work?
Yeah, I have 3 kids with my first wife. My oldest son is monogamous, right? But I think he's probably open to being poly like somewhere down the line, but you know, no time soon. My daughter is the second oldest. She's actually poly right now. So she's practicing poly for the past number of years. And my youngest son's not really dating like that. But yeah, we just teach them, like, I don't really care what they do. Like, whatever y'all choose to do, like, it's all good with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not like, I never push polyamory or open relating on anybody.
Right.
I want you to do you. And the most important thing is like you understand the world. You see what I'm saying? Like that you know how to move in the world, that you know, you're not like delusioned by people gassing your head up or, you know, what's happening in the world. So that's my main thing. As long as you all understand the world, go out, live your life, whatever it is cool with me.
And what do you think is like some of the biggest, I guess, like misconceptions about you know, polyamorous lifestyles or open relationships and stuff like that? It's, especially, I know like a lot of monogamous people, they're confused about certain things, or they think it's like this, you know, wild orgy 25 hours a day, 8 days a week, you know what I mean? Like, or like, you know what I mean? Like, what is some like misconceptions you've heard over the years, or certain things that you think people just don't understand that's probably not really true?
Well, I think most people look at poly as like swinging. And swing is like a different lifestyle. Swing is like when you and your wife just go to like swingers clubs and swingers parties, and you all exchange sexual partners. You see what I'm saying? But you don't have any relationships with those people. You see what I'm saying? So that's a big misconception, that most people think it's about swinging. Most people think that it's just about sex, like you just sex outside the relationship. And yeah, like the sex is a major component. You see what I'm saying? But it's also about the relationships and the connections and stuff like that. So people try to make stuff one-dimensional when it's really just, it's a whole experience that people are looking for. I think one of the other big misconceptions is that if you are poly, it's because you don't love your wife anymore.
Right.
And that's got nothing to do with it. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, the connections I have with my wives, like that stuff is solid in stone. You see, we're good. But doesn't mean they can supply everything I'm looking for, you know, this lifetime. Like I'm trying to have certain experiences and whatever. So no, like our situation is our situation, and I'll always love them for who they are in my life. But I also am going to look at some other partnerships just to kind of see what's up and have those experiences. So I think those are probably the big 3 for me.
Okay, so now let's get into the show, the Seeking Brother Husband show. So how did that come about? Like, how did they find you and they say, hey, we want to do the show where it's going to be like women with multiple husbands and stuff like that? So what was, like, I guess the whole premise of that, and how'd that come about?
So it started out, they just wanted to do a show on polyamory. We wanted to do a show on Kenya and I coaching couples to go from monogamy to polyamory and showing our lifestyle, right? But when the production company was selling the show, it was between 2 networks, TLC and Lifetime. And you know, TLC wanted to go this brother-husband route because they've already got the Sister Wives show.
Right. Okay.
So, but Lifetime was like, yo, you guys can do the coaching and that kind of thing. So the issue with the TLC show is that, you know, the way they made it look is that we're polyandrous. So the wife with multiple husbands, and those husbands are just loyal and faithful to her. You see what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
So a lot of people have been following me for the past 15, 20 years. Like, they know, like, that's not
Right. It's like, come on, we already know what the deal is.
And,
Right.
you know, we kind of helped cast the show. My wife kind of helped cast the show. So a lot of people who were casted, except for one of the couples, kind of came through us and our connections.
Mm.
You know, it just wasn't as authentic. You see what I'm saying? Because they're like, man, you know, like, Carlos is going to his room and he's cool with, you see what I'm saying? Like, his wife was somebody else, not knowing I got like an apartment 7 blocks down the street with my second wife, and I got partners in the city and stuff like that. So
Right.
they tried to make it look a certain way. But, you know, it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was cool doing it because I did like how they kind of tried to, you know, empower the woman. And never see that on TV, like a woman with multiple partners and she's kind of bossing up and looking for other partners. So, you know, I was like, yeah, this is pretty cool. And I'm down to support my wife in being viewed in that way. So yeah, it was a cool series. I was appreciative of TLC to even air it and take that step. But you know, people did have questions because they know that we're not polyandrous.
Right. And so it was interesting is that because I know how reality shows work because I was on a reality show years ago. You know how, right. So you know how it's where they show a certain thing and they try to make it look a certain way. And, you know, it's for ratings and stuff. But what I think is good about it is that at least it brings the conversation out more in the open so that people could you know, talk because, you know, look exactly like this guy, Last Jedi. It sounds like, you know, he's talking about. He said most women settle with poly. They don't genuinely want to be there. Just ran out of options. So this is why these discussions need to happen because people have these misconceptions again of what's going on. But what's your thoughts on this? Like, what's your opinion on this craziness?
Right well, here? You know, to be honest. You know, I do think a lot of people settle in relationships in general.
Right.
Like, I feel like people end up settling. I feel like people don't end up telling the truth about what they're really looking for inside the relationship. And I think that's why, like, we've seen this, like, you know, kind of like what I call this beta male movement over the past 5 years, with like all these kind of like angry and blaming women for all this stuff, is because, you know, you got into a relationship with your woman, but you weren't keeping it real about the reason why you all were actually together. You see what I'm saying? You didn't create a situation where she could tell you the truth about the attraction and what's really going on. And so I feel like that's a big issue with monogamy, especially, which is like, you know, people are in these relationships, but then they're not telling the truth, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got attractions, or sometimes women, like, they're only with you for the money.
Right.
My thing is, like, there's no issue with that. Now, if you're trying to force this woman to like you for a different reason, then that's a problem. You see what I'm saying? Especially monogamy. But if you're open, then yeah, get some other women who are down with you because of your sex game, or some other women who are down with you because, you know, you roll like a king or whatever it is. So that's the issue with monogamy, is like, people have to fake to be a particular person in a lot of cases to kind of fit into this box. So, you know, like, a lot of women can't tell their husband, like, look, you're not even in the top 5 of my sexual partners. Like, you're not even there. I don't know, LaCar, you see that video of that woman? She was talking to her husband and forced him into an open relationship.
Oh yeah, it went viral. Yeah, she was talking about like how I think he had a side girl, and then she found out, and then she was like, okay, well, let's just do this open thing, and keep it that way, right?
Exactly. And if you listen to what she's saying, you can hear what she's not saying. What she's not saying is like, look, she's saying, I'm the dying piece in the relationship.
Right.
Like, if you think that you're the only one other people want to fuck, like, you just completely out of your mind. And she's like, I'm cutting off the sex between us. Now, if a woman says that, you know, you're not top 10 in her list of sexual partners. You see what I'm saying? Because if I was number 1 or 2, there's no way she could cut off the sex like that. You see what I'm saying? But her husband, they haven't had that conversation.
Right.
But her husband knows that he's not top 5 or top 10. That's why he had to go get validation outside the relationship on the low. See what I'm saying? So it's like, this lack of communication creates the fertile ground for those situations with the infidelity, with the cheating. Like we got a epidemic of women who are married who are cheating on their husbands. Like it's worse now than it's ever been in the history of our species. You see what I'm saying? Like women are just going out and doing their thing, especially now because they're empowered, they're making the money, all this stuff. But that's because y'all don't have a real relationship. Why can't you talk to your lifetime partner about how you really feel, about how she really feels? But brothers would rather live in that fantasy world, you see what I'm saying, and pretend that this Disney perspective on monogamy and relationships is the real deal, and it's not.
Yeah, I think it's crazy because I think sometimes what happens is that, you know, and I notice this with a lot of monogamous relationships is that there isn't as much communication in the sense of really expressing how you feel about a certain thing or what you're thinking about a certain thing, because you don't want to sort of like hurt the person's ego, you know, or have that type of conversation. So it's like they're silent about it, and then things are just happening behind the scenes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas I feel like sometimes with more of an open relationship, non-monogamy, polyamorous thing, it's that there's a little bit more communication because there has to be, because there's a little bit more activity going on. There's more people you're involved with, you know what I'm saying? So I think there's a little bit more conversations going on with that. And right. And what do you think about this? So you were saying that you guys were monogamous at first.
Yes.
And you switched into more of an open situation. Yes. Then so you teach couples who want to get into that type of situation. Now, what are some of the challenges with that, and what should people do if they're actually trying to get into like a polyamorous, you know, non-monogamous type of situation coming from monogamy?
Right. Well, I think the first thing is, because we have 4 steps we take people through. The first thing is you got to realize that, look, we probably have not been telling each other the truth. Like my wife and I got into poly, we said, I remember this day, it was June 8th. You see what I'm saying? We said, look, we're starting our relationship brand new from this day forward. And the reason why is because we were like, let's create a new, you know, foundation of communication.
Right.
When I'm talking to couples, I'm like, look, you guys, you haven't told each other the real deal. Like I'll tell the wife, like, your husband probably doesn't know the real reason why you're with him. Wife, your wife don't know the real reason why you guys are together. Like, you guys have to get that. So we take couples through a process where we're like, here's why you all are together. Have you heard, we talked about this choice paradigm and desire paradigm at our school?
Oh no, break that down. Break it down.
The choice paradigm is we call the feminine choice paradigm. Is basically, we say there's 5 basic reasons that a woman will choose. And it's not just the woman, like whoever's in their feminine or submissive, right? There's 5 reasons why they'll choose. First is a womb choice. Womb choice, like, she just wants to fuck you. You see what I'm saying? Like, she feels, you know, that you can heal and work her body in a particular way. Like, women feel that shit in their womb. They won't tell you. You see what I'm saying? But they can feel it. You see what I'm saying? So that it's like, it's a sexual relationship, period, point blank.
Right.
Number 2 is what we call support choice. That's where the woman sees you as a king. She's like, yeah, I'll take you to my parents and show you all to my family. You know, you're going to have them good genes. I want to reproduce with you. You're going to be present. You're going to give me a castle to live in, like all that kind of stuff. Like, you're going to be an upstanding man that I can actually be proud of to call my husband. You see what I'm saying? So that's the support choice. The third one's what we call manifestation choice. That's a brother who's like, he's just understands like money. He understands like how to do the special things for you. He's got an amazing word game. You see, he knows what to say to get you out of your moves and cheer you up and make you feel like a princess. You see what I'm saying? The fourth choice is what we call crown choice. Crown choice is when a man, like, he can just expand you. You see what I'm saying? Like, you know, he can help you grow spiritually, grow into, you know, your higher character, which is why so many pastors get so much pussy. You see what I'm saying? Like, they feel that spiritual connection with these men and know that these men have this connection to God or whatever. So they're drawn to that. And the fifth is what we call soul choice, which is when a woman is drawn to your mission. She loves who you are and what you're doing out in the world. So much so that if you change that up, she can't really be with you anymore. It's not about looks, it's not about sex. Like, she's really into your mission. You see what I'm saying? So those are the 5 choices for women in terms of why they choose men. So like the first thing is like, men, you got to understand, like, why is my wife choosing me?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And be okay with that. You see what I'm saying? Don't, because so many men want to be the womb choice. I want to be sex, like, see me as like the sexual, you know what I'm saying, expert and master, whatever. And the reality is, there's only going to be a certain select women who see you in that way.
Right.
Like 2 women can be looking at you in the club, and one sees you as a womb choice, like, yeah, I want to get with this brother like tonight. Those are women who they'll give you head in the bathroom or fuck you in the backseat of the car out in the parking lot. Like right. And then you have support choices, like the woman's like, well, I'm going to get to know this brother because I think he's got potential, like husband potential. But if I know how she's choosing me, then I know how to function as a man, you know what I'm saying, in terms of how to approach her. And I won't get offended that she's not down to have sex tonight or whatever. Like, oh, she's probably support choosing me or manifestation choosing me or something like that. You see what I'm saying?
Right. And that's actually interesting, because then it's like, if you understand that, then you can say, okay, if I know she's feeling me or with me for this, then I understand. Like, so for example, let's say he's not the womb choice. And this is probably why you have relationships where it might be a sexless marriage, or it might be the woman's not really trying to have sex with him. And then so now you can say, okay, well, we work good with this. Maybe we got a business. Maybe we, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we got kids and we got to do this and do that. But we can be on an open situation where I have sex with my girlfriend and we still be together and we do this other stuff.
Exactly. And my thing is, like, keep the family together.
Right.
Like, to me, like, that's one of the solutions for like the Black community, for example. Like, why are we breaking up families over some dumb shit? You see what I'm saying? Like, no, you and your wife and kids stay together and like on the connection. She does love you. He does love you. You see what I'm saying? But like, you're trying to force them into a box that they don't fit into. The entire relationship and family away as a result of that. And that's ridiculous. No, just go get those needs met somewhere else.
Right.
Like, they want, you know, to be manifestation chosen. Those are the guys who, you know, they pull up in the Ferrari or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Like, they know how to floss and dress or whatever. And some men want to be recognized because a lot of times that's how men are able to pull dime pieces.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's not the only way to pull a dime. I'm saying that's in a man's mind. That's like, oh, that's how I do it. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a lot of men want to experience that. Like, I want to roll up to the club or the lounge and immediately get noticed and picked by the dimes.
Right.
Like, that's a good feeling to have as a man, just to experience that. But you're probably not, you see what I'm saying? Like, she's probably not the one who's going to give you that feeling.
Exactly.
Get that somewhere else and you'll be good and keep the family together and keep the marriage flowing.
Now, do you think that there are times where, maybe you run into this too, because I hear this a lot, where people who are monogamous, right, go through some sort of, let's say, traumatic situation in their relationship or relationships, or, you know, they got their heart broken or whatever. And then they say, you know, like, let's say they got cheated on, or they found out their boyfriend, girlfriend was doing something. And they say, well, you know what? I'm not going to be monogamous anymore. I'm going to just do an open relationship, or I'm going to be non-monogamous. But it's almost like they're trying to be non-monogamous, thinking that's going to like help their relationship, but they're doing it out of like hurt. Like, they were hurt in this situation. Now let me jump over here and maybe that'll fix it. Like, do you ever get into those like situations with like clients or whatever like that?
Yeah. And we always tell people polyamory, open relationship is not a fix, you know, for your marriage or your life or any of that kind of stuff. Because poly is harder than monogamy.
That's a fact.
If you can't connect with one woman, you see what I'm saying, and like really flourish in that relationship, you definitely can't do it with two. Not any kind of real way.
Right.
Get the most out of those relationships. So yeah, I've seen people, they jump into poly or they jump into to whatever, or even the reverse, like people who fail at polyamory, they jump into monogamy.
Right.
That's not the issue. The issue is, not understanding the game, your communication skills aren't sharp. You see what I'm saying? Not working on your sexual skills. You're not focused on yourself, working on your body, your fit. Like, you're not doing any of the things that are required to live your absolute best life and enjoy your relationships. And people think that stuff is optional. Like, what are y'all talking about? You see what I'm saying? Like, no, you have to develop skills. Like, Lucario, for some reason, people think relationships are automatic.
Right.
Like, you have to study anything, and you're going to have a successful 40, 50-year marriage without cheating or abuse or any of that kind of stuff. It don't work that way. Relating is a skill. Human psychology is complex.
Right.
So over time, especially with women, after kids, like, it's a whole different ballgame. It's a brand new person. You see what I'm saying?
That's real talk. Now, I wanted to ask you specifically, what's your thoughts or your ideas on, like, women being sexual? Because, there's a lot of talk on the internet, that I see a lot of videos where guys believe that if a woman is very sexual or promiscuous, or she likes to have sex or whatever, and she's having sex with multiple guys or whatever, and they'll say, well, she has a high body count, so the high body count makes it to where she can't bond with you in a relationship, which is comical because I'm like, we're actually living real life where we're in situations with women who are sexual, but we're still in relationships. But what is your thoughts on that? And why do you think guys think that women aren't as sexual as us, or women don't like sex as much as us, or whatever it is? What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's that religion, man. Religion has done a number on men, where men just don't understand women.
Right.
Like, if you think women are less sexual, women are the most sexual creatures. It's like comparing, like, LeBron James and Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had, like, one of the highest peaks in NBA history. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, 6 years where he won the championships. Like, when women are at their sexual peak throughout the month and year and that kind of stuff, they're like Jordan. You see what I'm saying? Like, you're not stopping,
right,
how she's feeling and what she desires. Men are like, we're more like LeBron James. Like, we just want to fuck steady for, our entire lives, as long as we can, we can perform. You see what I'm saying? We'll be in our 50s still pursuing, women at the same rate we did when we were 25 or 30. But are usually not higher than what a woman can actually reach. So that's number one. Number two, the body count stuff is, that's ridiculous, man. Like, first of all, we don't pair bond.
Right.
We're not monogamous species. Like, brothers, like, up your game. Like, be with a woman who's choosing to be with you. Not one who you're trying to, like, I found a virgin and she don't know no better. She hasn't had no good sex outside of me, and that's why she's with me. What are you talking about? And then you want that woman to be like a freak in the bed?
Right.
Yeah, let me tell you how women get these skills, bro. You see what I'm saying? Like, what happens, she runs into a few players throughout her lifetime, and, like, we put her down, like, every which way you can possibly imagine, and voila. Welcome, bros. Like, she's ready for, the real deal. But before she gotten, hooked up with some real players out here, like, she don't know what she was doing, and you wouldn't even want her.
Right.
Man, like, how do you think she gets these skills? So that's all BS. No, get with a woman, keep it real with her, and she'll keep it real with you, and you all can have the longest bond you could ever imagine. But if you and you don't understand what she really feels, what she really wants, if you're trying to put her into a box, that's why it doesn't last. Not because she had 5 partners or 20 or 40. It's got nothing to do with that. It's got to do with you just didn't show up, or you didn't create an environment of honesty and truth inside the marriage where she felt like, okay, my husband keeps it 100% real, so I can tell him what's up. My wife and I had that. Like, she was able to tell me whenever she had attraction for somebody else. I was able to tell her when I had attractions. Like, We just have that honest, open communication out the gate.
Right.
You got to have that, man. This is mandatory.
And so how do you, like, let's say a guy, he's like, you know what, I want to, have multiple women, multiple wives, stuff like that. So what's your advice, or what would you tell a guy that he has to do in order to make that work? Like, how do you manage those situations? How do you keep the relationships intact? Like, what are some things that you do in your situation?
My advice for men is to attract women and to manage women, especially multiple women. You just have to be like real strong in your masculinity, right? So same, like those choices I talked about earlier, they map to archetypes, masculine archetypes. So the first one's the leader or the king, right? So you have to be that man who can hold space for your woman's emotions, who's accountable and is about integrity in his life, and is also a real leader.
Right.
Number two, the soldier or the warrior, right? So you gotta be a man who's able to transmute pain. Transmute pain means your feelings don't get hurt and you lashing out at your woman or your kids because your feelings got hurt. No, you can take that energy and turn it into something that can benefit yourself and the family. You see what I'm saying? And you're willing to sacrifice and all that kind of stuff. Number three is you have to have strong communication skills. That's a negotiator. Politician archetype. Strong communication skills, know how to talk to your woman, you know what I'm saying? Know how to go out and hustle in the world, because women need to see you out there hustling and winning out in the world to kind of maintain a level of attraction for you. You see what I'm saying? Like they got to see you beating life and beating your environment on some level. You see what I'm saying? So, that's another big thing. So if you have those three things, for example, and you're purpose driven, the thing that you're focused on for your life, then you'll be able to manage multiple women. The reason why is because they're going to be drawn to you. And when a woman is drawn to you, and when she chooses you, not you choosing her, because when you choose her, you're in the submissive. Like I try to explain to the brothers, like, yo, man, like think about it like when you apply to a college. If I apply to Harvard, you see what I'm saying? I pay my fee, do my application. Who's in the dominant position?
Right.
Harvard. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to get into their school. But if they send me a letter saying we got a scholarship for you to come to our school, you see what I'm saying? Then I'm in the dominant position. You see, like I'm like, I consider you. I got a letter from Yale too and Princeton. I'll see. I'm in the dominant position. So when a woman chooses you, she will follow you as long as you're functioning the right way. So if you want to manage multiple women, you have to increase your masculinity to a point where women are choosing you. When they choose you, they'll follow you. They'll adhere to your, whatever your leadership is. Again,
I think a lot of guys, what they do is they try to like sort of metaphorically or figuratively twist a woman's arm to be with them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's not gonna work.
Like a lot of men use religion, like, oh, well, it's God's, law that the woman follows the man. Like, that's not gonna work on a woman. Women don't care nothing about that. They might fake it, you know what I'm saying, to get the ring or whatever for a while. But women, you got to understand the feminine doesn't care about all that stuff. The feminine spirituality, she's not really into, religious doctrine and dogma.
Right.
Like guys that like women got no game. Like, no, she's not buying what you're saying. If she's going along with this because she's got her own agenda. Like that movie, The Counselor, Fassbender and Brad Pitt. Pitt's name is Wes Ray. He has this quote in there. He says, "You never know who somebody is till you know what they want." So it's like, okay, she's going along with what you're doing, but the question is, why is that? Is it because or is it because that has a different agenda? So as a man, you got to have those skills to understand what's going on in the relationship.
That's real shit. Shout out to Kizaki. Said that's precisely why I never ask a woman to be in a relationship. I let them come to me with that. That's a fact.
That's what I'm saying. Like, women will let you know. All we got to do as men is we got to just work on ourselves, go out and hustle, do our thing. And the women come like automatically. I try to explain to brothers, like, it's so many women out here, like so much sex. It's like, you don't understand, like you're just approaching it the wrong way. You're chasing women. Chase women, that's just not attractive. No, just focus on you and they'll come to you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's all you got to do. It's not really that. It's not really like, and if you want to pursue, that's cool. But I'm just saying it's not like a rocket science type of thing. You saying be the king, and then the women are going to come automatically.
Right. That's real shit. Let me see some questions in the chat. So this one says, what's your definition of love?
Well, there's different types of love. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, so you have unconditional love, which is like, I'm going to do for you because I'm able to do it. You don't got to give me anything in return. It's romantic love. That's most people's love. Romantic love is like, look, I'm going to give to you, but it's conditional. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You got to give me back certain things I want. If you give me those, and I'll give you the things I got for you. Romantic love is conditional love. So, for me, love is like, look, I'm going to support my wives and my girlfriends because, I can. Not because of a particular thing from me. And look, the love's always going to come back to me. Even if they'll come back through them, it's always coming back because of who I am and how I roll. That's how it works.
Real talk. So let me see what is this guy saying? He says, my question is why y'all had to go on national TV to do what y'all doing? This guy, we talked about that earlier, man.
Why is anybody on TV? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Gotta promote, man. You gotta put that stuff out there, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You gotta use what you gotta do.
For a lot of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know people had a hard time seeing that kind of arrangement, but you gotta do your research.
Right. And I think that's one of the big things where sometimes what happens is because people, are ignorant to certain, to certain things, they see things and then they put their own perspective on it. But it's like you can't put your own perspective on it because you don't understand that aspect. So when I always say this, I always find it funny where, let's say, for example, a person who's monogamous, they'll judge a non-monogamous relationship on monogamy. And I'm like, you can't do that. That's two different paradigms. You know what I mean? That's like watching football or like watching basketball and expecting them to say touchdown when they put the ball in the hoop. It's like it's two different games. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? And so this other question that says, what's your idea of increasing your masculinity? That's what he wants to know.
Yeah, the things I just said. Like, so for example, with the king, you have the thing about accountability. And I was just talking to one of my clients the other day. I was telling him, like, look, man, because he got caught in the whole, he lied to his girl or whatever. I said, look, man, just tell the truth. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I said this, you got caught. I said, do not get into this shame, walk around with your head down bullshit. You see what I'm saying? Like, no, just take accountability. Like, look, yeah, I lied. And let me tell you why I lied. Because I don't feel comfortable coming to you X, Y, and Z, but I'm going to work on that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, that's like practice doing that as men. Too many men are in like this low vibrational masculinity where they're like, why are you lying to your woman? You see what I'm saying? Like, why are you walking around the streets thinking that's somehow masculine? Like, no, the king lion, the king does what he wants to do out in the open, and he dares anybody to say anything about it. Like, that's trying to increase your masculinity. You see what I'm saying? Or when you're mad or offended at your woman, like, don't lash out back at her or do passive aggressive stuff, because passive aggressive is not a masculine trait.
Right.
Like, no, sit your woman down, like, take the heat, right? And sit your woman down and talk about what's going on and work on solutions.
Right.
So when I say increase your masculinity, I'm saying act like a man in the relationship. Don't do feminine stuff in relationships. Like speaking, lying, not communicating, not being able to hold space for your woman's emotions, not understanding what masculinity is. That's a violation of manhood. You see what I'm saying? You got to know that stuff. So as you learn about that and begin to incorporate that in your behavior, now you're rising your masculinity. And what's going to happen is you're going to see women respond to you differently as you rise up. Like,
that's cool shit.
Yeah, it's just like I want brothers to understand, like, there are different ways that we can be as men that are going to make our lives better and relationships better. And it's not by acting like women. And one of the things I want to say to Lucario that I want men to understand, and this is what a lot of these like red pill movements and stuff don't seem to get. You don't want to be with a man in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. So
stop expecting your woman to abide by rules and behaviors that are masculine.
Exactly.
Like, oh, my woman is, you know, she lied or whatever. Like, hold up, bro. Like, it's a masculine trait for our word to be our bond. That's just
exactly.
Not, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's a masculine trait to be accountable. That's
right.
Not, the feminist is not accountable to anything. So
facts. Listen, yo, I'm glad you're saying that because you got so many videos of these dudes talking about we gotta hold these women accountable and they gotta do this. And I'm like, bro, aren't you supposed to be leading the situation? What are we talking about here?
Like, go date your boy. If you want somebody whose word is his bond, then go date your boy.
Right.
You know, your woman, like, you gotta create an environment for her, and you gotta like see how she's feeling and kind of like hold space for her so she can actually feel comfortable talking, you know, the truth and opening up to you.
Mm-hmm.
Women are not courageous and brave. You see what I'm saying? That's us. So
mm-hmm.
we got to do the heavy lifting and say, look, here's the truth. Now, what, you know, how do you feel, baby? You see what I'm saying? Like, talk to me. And we got to help her get to a place where she feels comfortable and safe telling you what's up.
Real talk.
I'm going to come to you out the gate like, well, here's my truth. Like, you were the man. You know what I'm saying? Like, fuck that.
Real talk. Let's get a few more questions before we wrap this up. Okay, so this one says, would you say celebrities are a perfect example of showing poly/open like those of Will and Jada? So what's your thoughts on that, though? I want to hear your thoughts on the Will Jada stuff. What's because, you know, I guess they were saying sort of like they're in a non-monogamous thing, sort of, kind. I don't know, but what's your thoughts on that?
Well, so I believe behind the scenes, Will and Jada are in a poly open situation.
Right.
So they're understanding. You know what I'm saying? The issue is that they just be like lying to everybody else, and it creates confusion.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I know why they're doing it. Like, Will wants to protect his brand, because if you're poly, again, you're looked at as a swinger, and
right.
a lot of Hollywood or Christians or whatever, and so they're trying to stay away from that judgment. But that's not a good example, man. Like, we don't know enough about their behind the scenes stuff to know what's happening. And
right.
Will has to do more in terms of his masculinity. Saying, like, he has to really kind of detox some of the hurt and pain that he's feeling around the relationship so that he can, like, you know, navigate and lead that situation better.
Right.
You know, because Jada, I did her chart. She's got more masculine energy than Will does in her chart. You see what I'm saying? So she's always going to want the limelight. She's got a lot of ego in her chart. So she's going to want the limelight all the time. And Will's he's got to step up and like really understand his woman and kind of manage that situation appropriately. He hasn't done a really great job of that so far.
It's real shit. So now this one says, how does one know if they're able to be in a non-monogamous relationship? If not, how can one reprogram their mind to be in a successful one or successful relationships in general?
Yeah, I mean, I would start with just the monogamous ones. You know what I'm saying? Like, just connect with someone and like really work on open communication, work on being authentic, work on being accountable in that situation. And then that's the building block for going into non-monogamy. You see what I'm saying? And I want to say, look, Carl, like, I'm not against people being exclusive, right? Like, great choice for most people. But it's not monogamy. You're choosing to be exclusive. And the reason why is because being sexually exclusive and emotionally exclusive to one person for life is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. Right? You gotta acknowledge that this is gonna be a challenge. The same way you acknowledge, like, I'm gonna choose to be on a diet or choose to exercise every day or whatever, like that's hard. So it's like, if you understand it's a choice and not an automatic thing, it helps get your mind right around it.
Real talk. Let me see. We got last question here. Says, Do you believe there will be an increase in poly relationships in the future?
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we're already seeing a rise in infidelity, if you can believe that. Like, you know what I'm saying? The shit was already out of hand. But yeah, more people are choosing, polyamory. You see what I'm saying? Because, and the reason why is because the reasons why we would get married in the past, which is where we had to connect for sex and survival. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's not the landscape anymore. So people are like, well, I'm free to do what I want to do. I don't want to lose that freedom, but I still want connections out here. So people are choosing poly so they don't have to be in situations where they're trapped. So yeah, I see it increasing.
That's real shit. So all right, so yo, where can people reach you, man? Like, where can people reach you at? Is this the website mysteryschool.live?
Yeah.
What's that website about?
Yeah, that's my school. So, right now I'm focused more on women in terms of teaching them about building their queendom and building their goddess consciousness. Basically just teaching women game. You see what I'm saying? But I also have a men's group there with like a lot of videos and stuff like that, probably similar like the Bad Boy membership type stuff.
Dope.
Yeah, that's where you can come kind of learn some of the stuff that we talk about, spirituality, relationships, and just kind of get yourself together.
And where can people get the books? Make sure you guys get this, The Art of Open Relating. Where can people get this book at?
Yeah, you can get that on Amazon. It's in paperback and on Kindle. So I've got that book. I've got volume 3 of that book out, volume 2 next year. I've got books, Up-Level Communication. That's our communication protocol. I got a book called The 9 Expressions of Love, which talks about this paradigm and desire paradigm for men. So yeah, check out my books on Amazon. You know what I'm saying? Give me some feedback. Tell me what y'all think. And one of my first books is called Tame Your Woman. It's about men taming their inner feminine nature so they can better in their relationships. So that's a really good one too. Tame Your Woman.
That's dope. Y'all get on Amazon. My dude got hella books on there. You feel what I'm saying? So make sure you guys check out my dude Rakhem. Seku. Yo, I appreciate you coming through, man. Real talk, you know what I'm saying? Because I learned a lot from you over the years, and you're a real dude, you know what I'm saying? And it's like I love the work that you and your wife has been doing, and just seeing you guys doing what y'all do and just really standing on what y'all believe in and just being y'all. I just love that shit. You feel what I'm saying?
That's what I appreciate it, man. It's the same thing with you. Like, keep up the good work, bros. And like, yo, check out badboymembership.com.
Yes, sir. We got one more question. He said, does most of your books have audio books, or is it just you have any audios, or is it just like the paperbacks?
I don't have the audios yet, so I need another year or so to kind of get those out. But yeah, just Kindle and paperback right now.
Yeah, you guys have to start learning how to read, people. You know what I'm saying? You can start reading.
Or they can join the Kingdom Cipher Library. I got all the videos in there. I talk about managing multiple women. I talk about the masculinity piece. So like for $97 a month, you can get it there and just kind of learn game. It's like over 100 videos from me, like other brothers who have been in the poly space for a while. So that's all we talk about, man. It's like breaking that stuff down.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. So guys, man, we appreciate everybody tuning in, each and every last one of y'all. We appreciate y'all rocking with us, man. And yeah, we definitely got to do this again real soon. And yeah, man, so we are out of here. And guys, remember, the truth is inside you. Peace. We are gone. We out. Later.